what happens to the body if not only have you not been able to move as much for 24 years, but you also have been using some muscles or some muscle groups to overcompensate for other muscle groups that aren't working properly or have not been able to strengthen properly. So you're kind of lopsided in that. Well, hey everyone, Carnivore Mark here. So sorry for the change of scenery. Again, I don't have one of these fancy, studios or something like that where I could go ahead and just have one consistent place. So you are getting the video from wherever it is that I feel inspired to go ahead and do that video. In this case, it's the basement here. Getting ready to do some laundry, so I figured I'd go ahead and pop this video out while I was at it. By the way, the video that I'm going to be making with my wife is on its way. We are due to make that within the next couple of days. We got kind of sidetracked with work issues and things like that, but we are definitely going to make that. And if you are interested in finding out what that's all about, you just go ahead and click up there and go ahead and check out the video, put your comments in, and we'd love to go ahead and respond to that. Any questions you have, any advice that you want to share to help her potentially get started with the carnivore diet. So, and then you come right back here and find out what this video is all about. That said, what this video is all about is I've been receiving a lot of private messages, not so much on the comment side, but private messages asking, how did my spinal damage heal? How did I step away from all those 10 medications that I was on that I was taking 2 to 3 times a day? Well, there are two sides to this. Number one, there's the gastronomic side, right? The intestinal side, because I was suffering greatly from an issue that the doctors were not able to diagnose, but it was seriously destroying my health. And then, of course, there's the spinal side, which I've been dealing with for 24 years leading up to me jumping on the carnivore diet. So how was I able to kind of go ahead and reverse these conditions, and how was I able to reverse my need for taking the medication? Well, let me start off by saying I'm not a doctor. Okay, I can't tell you what to do. I can't give you medical advice. I can only share what I did and what worked for me personally. And so what I did as far as the intestinal side was a bit of experimentation, right? So I was taking these medications on a regular basis. What I decided to do is when I started, the carnivore diet, I started just eating meat. When I felt like I was on the right, like I felt like I was getting a little bit better and a little bit better, I started to skip a dose, and then 2 doses, and then 3 doses. And then if my symptoms felt like they were kind of coming back, or I was kind of feeling the same way that I was before, then I would go ahead and take a dose of the medication, but then I would skip the next dose and skip the next dose. And that went on until I no longer needed anything. And since I was taking most of those medications 3 times a day, I was able to find out, I'd say within a week and a half to 2 weeks' time, that I no longer needed any of the medication. If I was on a medication that I was maybe taking once daily, maybe that would take a little bit longer to figure out. But that's basically what I did, was a step-down approach, take as needed, sort of a thing. Now, for my spinal damage, I kind of went along that route, but also went a little bit different. Okay, so what I did for the spinal pain and the spinal round, the spinal damage, number one, I focused heavily on my fat intake. Okay, so I made sure that I had as much fat as possible, because I know that's where all the nutrition is coming from. That's all the nutrients, all the everything that needs to shuttle itself through the body is going to be coming on board through the fats and cholesterols and those sorts of things. So I wanted to make sure I inundated my body with that. So I did that, and then the more I did that, yes, the better my back would feel. But that's not really what ultimately fixed the problem, I would say. So as I started to feel better, I kind of did this similar thing. So I stepped away from doses as I was feeling better. And then if I started to feel that pain come back, I would take a dose. So I kept doing that and kind of swapping, because it was multiple medications, right? So I try one. If that didn't work, I try another. I tried to take like I went down in strength. So I tried not to take the strongest ones. So I took like the medium to the weaker ones. But here's something that I did that was kind of different on the other side. Okay. So what I did, because think about what happens. All right. Let me ask it this way. What happens to the body when you haven't been able to move it much for 24 years? And what happens to the body if not only have you not been able to move it much for 24 years, but you also have been using some muscles or some muscle groups to overcompensate for other muscle groups that aren't working properly or have not been able to strengthen properly. So you're kind of lopsided in that. Well, what happens is your muscles start to kind of shift things over to favor those muscle groups that you're using more than the others. And in my case, 24 years of living with spinal damage and still having to get around and go to work and all those sorts of things, I had to be in different kinds of positions as I worked, as I did whatever. And that messed up my spinal alignment. That messed up just my overall positioning. That's exacerbated essentially any kind of exercise or workout that I did. And I will say this also, I really don't get to work out that much these days either. Unfortunately, my schedule is like supremely busy, and so I generally get to work out about once a week these days. But that said, I'm not dealing with the spinal pain that I was before, because what I corrected were those muscle imbalance problems. So how did I do that? Because I was suffering, again, severe spinal injury, severe spinal damage, permanent nerve damage. And by the way, they classified my spinal damage as permanent as well. So what did I do to reverse that? I focused on the heavier doses of medications on the days that I wanted to work out my certain muscle groups, right? So because I knew that in past experience, over the course of the last couple of decades, whenever I would go to the gym and, maybe I can have a really good day, go to the gym, work out that day, I feel good for the moment, and then I go home later and the pain comes back, and it took me like a week to a week and a half just to recover from, that workout that was maybe 30 to 45 minutes long. So now what I did, as I started to feel a little bit better, there was less pain because there's less inflammation as I'm eating the carnivore diet, right? As I got started, this is basically, going back to month 1 there. I started taking the heavier medications. The heavier medications allowed me to not feel as much of the pain as I would, and allowed my muscles to relax to the point where I wasn't holding them back from working out. Now, if you're suffering from this, if you can do this, maybe not everybody can, I recognize that. But here's what happened to me. Whenever before carnivore, would try to work out, I would feel a little pain and then immediately pull back from that. So whatever exercise, whatever movement I was doing, I would do it a little bit, and then as soon as I got to the point where I felt some pain, I immediately reversed my action. Now, with the help of the medication that I was taking, I was able to finally move past that and get a greater range of motion. So that gave me more mobility. So instead of working out part of a muscle, then I was working out the whole muscle now. Now, did I still experience pain after that? Yes, I did, but it was on a much lower scale, much, much lower scale. And as I did that more and more, the muscle groups, supporting the spine that were kind of, twisting my spine the wrong way, were now starting to support my spine in a proper alignment. When that happened, I was able to take less medication, and then less medication until ultimately I'm on no medication now. Now, for me, this took a period of about, I'd say, the pain medications themselves, I stopped taking maybe about 2 months in. And the reason, by the way, the other reason why it happened in that kind of a short time is because I had so much energy and my schedule wasn't as busy. So I was in the gym every single day. I was working on this stuff every single day. I was in the gym because I had all this energy now. So I was there on average about 2 to 3 hours per day between stretches and exercises and working out and all that stuff. So massive, massive difference on the carnivore diet. That's another reason why I would never go back. I mean, why would I go back to hurting after the 30-minute workout to, now that I'm, 2-3 hour workout whenever I get the opportunity to, and like, I'm not even sore. Like, what's that all about? So I wouldn't go back. So anyway, that's basically my step down process. That's what I did. I could name all the medications that I was on, and I did in a previous video. But just if you're going to try to do what I did, focus on the separating out the priority of the heavier medications, the medium kind of level medications, and the lighter medications, and kind of mentally group those together. And I'd say, if you can, maybe experiment with that a little bit, but be careful, because based on your condition, you may definitely want to talk to your doctor first to let him know or her know, what it is that you're trying to do, just in case there's a problem with stepping down from certain medications or that kind of thing. But I was able to do that with all 10 of my medications and basically let everything go. So anyway, I'm very, very grateful for the doctors like Dr. Baker, even Homestead Howe, Bill, Homestead Howe's buddy. Awesome. Just what an inspiration he is. And see Dr. Anthony Chafee, and I know I'm leaving a whole bunch of people out, but I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for them being bold about the carnivore diet and its healing properties and what it can do for you, and how we've been, quite frankly, lied to for these past 60 years about food and our food intake and what kind of conditions are permanent versus reversible. Because again, I will emphasize this every single day of the week, my spinal damage, the insurance companies on both sides. So that's the insurance company on my side and the insurance company on the side of the person who hit us. They all said I had permanent spinal damage. They said I had to be on pain management for the rest of my life. They said that I had permanent nerve damage. I would never get that feeling back ever again. They said that I would have limited mobility for the rest of my life. And you know what? It's not the case. I wish I knew this 24 years ago. 24 years ago, if I would have known about the carnivore diet or just eating meat, really that's what it is. It's not even a diet. It's just, somebody at work asked me the other day, and I said, well, isn't that like, how do you do the carnivore diet? Like, isn't that like crazy restrictive and stuff? I'm like, well, not really. Like, they're like, oh, that's crazy. There's no way that you could eat only meat. I was like, well, think about it this way. I said, do you eat meat now as part of your meals? So, well, yeah, like every meal I have a little bit of meat in there. So yeah, great. All you do is just eat that meat and get rid of the rest of the stuff. That's all it is. You just have a little bit more of the meat. So that's all carnivore is. It's really simple. Just eat meat and get well. That's the bottom line of it. So once again, I will challenge you. If you had started thinking about the carnivore diet, if you're considering it and you haven't tried it yet, try it for 30 days. If you don't like it, go back to the standard diet that you were on. But I'm about 90% sure that this is going to work for you if you just give it a shot. I'm gonna update that. I'm 100% sure this is going to work for you, even if it's just a matter of eliminating the glyphosates and stuff like that. From the vegetables, from the pesticides that go into vegetables and all those sorts of things, and getting rid of the Cheerios and getting rid of all the processed junk and the processed foods. Even the organic stuff with all the oxalates and all the phytotoxins and the anti-nutrients in them. Just go to meat, give it a shot, right? What do you have to lose? So that said, leave you with that 30-day challenge. If you have had some awesome experience with the carnivore diet, or you have questions about it, drop a note in the comments below, and I promise you we will get to that video with my wife very, very soon. So thank you all for sticking around with me. God bless, and I'll see you next time.